I've got one thing to do. Well, I've got two questions for you. If you could open your smartphone, laptop, whatever, go over to menti.com and enter that code over there. There should be a first question in there asking you, so it's menti.com, and the first question is, what does community or data community mean for you? Let's see if it works. Welcome, everyone. You are allowed to use your smartphone in this session. If you could just go over to menti.com and enter the code 58595403. And words are coming in, thanks. And don't close the browser. We will need it later. And I'm gonna start, as we are already 1 minute into the session time. Welcome everyone, either here in the room, in person, welcome everyone, and welcome to those that are joining remotely. The following 20 minutes are about why you should care about the data community and why the data community cares about you. And in the abstract, I've written something about, well, myself. And I will talk about the thing how the data community changed, well, my life. It was like an interesting ride those last 10 years. And I'm going to show you some of those steps that happened. But before, well, you've seen the first question. So what does data community mean to you? And the second question I'm going to switch to later is, have you heard about that thing called data community before today's or this week's event? So is it a new term or is it something you are already familiar with? So I'm going to switch to the web page. And yeah, it's like sharing knowledge, friends, experts, meeting people, networking, caring, traveling, socializing, and support. Those are the things I've seen in the last 10 years. I wasn't used to that. Like, it's really a community. It's like getting friends all over the world and meeting people, learning. And that is the thing maybe you should think about, that the data community, well, cares about you. And the thing that came into my mind when I was preparing the session, what are the different personas, what are the different roles that are involved in that community thing? And what I've seen is there is that person of a learner, like people that are attending a conference. They want to learn something new. There are, well, those people standing in front of you, those speakers, and there is that networking thing I really, really enjoy. Sometimes it's a conference that is like, Bernhard, don't listen, he's my team lead. It's more networking than learning at a conference. But networking is very, very important. And without the organizers, well, all those conferences, learning stuff, it's not that possible. My name is Wolfgang. I'm a data consultant working and living in Austria. I enjoy being part of the data community. I enjoy talking about the experiences I get through all those interesting projects together with our customers. I do like to blog, record some videos, and write some books about tech stuff I'm really, really interested in. And, well, I've got a private life too. I'm part of an orchestra, local orchestra, and that one with the red thing in the middle, well, that's me. It's like 15 years ago. And I was the one responsible for, well, directing all the others through the field and having some, not only the training, but there were some sort of well, tests I had to solve. And there's the other Wolfgang. Well, the LinkedIn professional Wolfgang. And there's the data community thing that really improved me on the private side and also helped me during my day-to-day life. And that day, how the data community changed my life, well, it was like 10 years ago. It was the PaaS Summit 2012 in Seattle. It was my first international travel. It was like, you can see I was tired and I looked a little bit different at that time. And it was like, oh my God, thousands of people, all those names I've only heard about, they are there, and they are people. I can ask questions, and they are friendly. Oh my God, it was like, oh. I wasn't kind of used to that because I started my career in the, let's say, .NET development. It was like more like a former conference stuff, and it was not that thing that was called SQL Family, data community. And I was there as a first-timer. I enjoyed the conference, and I thought, hey, that's something I like. And the journey changed a little bit. So it continued. We organized a SQL Saturday in Vienna. Together with Markus and other colleagues, we organized the first SQL Saturday, and we organized another one, we organized another one. We had full rooms. It was like the other side of the world. It was not enjoying the sessions, it was like enjoying the organization of those events. And that was being part of that community and seeing those people arriving and having fun at the conference, enjoying the content. It was like getting a push for myself. We had some guests from the product team. Mark Sousa, was guest in Vienna, and it changed again. 3 years later, I returned to the PaaS Summit, now in lederhosen, Austrian typical clothes, and as a speaker. It was like, oh my God. That was a room like, I don't know, double the size of that room. Whew, yeah, it was like, I had a heartbeat like, I can't explain. It was a horrible situation right before the session, and it was one of the best moments in my life after the session. So it really changed, or it changed my life, like being an attendee, growing to an organizer, and being there as a speaker. And it changed again. Like 2 years ago, well, I was invited to be part of the Azure Data Community Advisory Board. So we initially were 9 people from around the world, user group leaders, speakers, trainers, whatever, guiding Microsoft, collecting feedback from the community to get a better community. Because there was some community that, well, somehow disappeared a few years ago, and we needed to step in and need your feedback. That's one thing. If you have any questions, comments, best practice ideas for the future about data community, how it should look like, well, ask us, send us those questions. There is a form you can send your questions to, and we listen and try to get the best out of it. And now the question is, what is there in for you? It was like, oh, that's my life and that's my story, but what is in there for you? And as you are a learner, I call you a learner, not the normal attendee. You are ready and willing to learn. There's a question, do you know your local data community? Do you know your local user group? Who is not aware if there's a user group nearby? Is there anyone in here? There's a place you maybe could have a look. There's a link, and that is the collection of all those user groups around the world that are in the Azure Data Community, let's say, group. And we've grown that group to like more than 140 groups that are registered, more than 70,000 of members that are members of those groups, and we have like user groups registered in more than 40 countries. So if you are not sure, is there a group nearby, or is there a virtual group I could attend, that is the place to go and have a look. And there are conferences around the world, like SQL Bits, I heard, is a great one. And there are other ones, like smaller ones, Data Saturdays, SQL Saturdays, 8KB, like Data Weekender, and so on. And there are special conferences like New Stars of Data. For those of you that maybe are willing to change roles, to get to the next step, join me on the session, maybe. Maybe not me, but alone or another one. So transform from the learner to a speaker. And there is one conference I really, really can recommend. It's the New Stars of Data. I've been part of that conference as a mentor. And I had 2 rounds of mentees that I really, really enjoyed, giving some best practice ideas, help, and so on and so forth. So there's the organizer in here, or the organizers are there, Ben and William. And I think they are planning another round. So if you think about, I'm not sure if I like it, that's a thing you could really have a look at. And then, no conference, no event, no user group is possible without the helper. Like, thank everyone that is involved in the organization, in the help. Behind the scenes, visible with those orange shirts, like preparations during nights, during weeks, getting days off from work to be able to help at the conference. And as Rob said in the keynote today, they really appreciate, I think, if we just get there and say, thanks what you're doing. And thank you that you're there watching the chat. Do we have any questions in there? Not yet. Okay, perfect. Thank you. And it's also a thing where we needed helpers. We needed to grow. And we, well, catched some of my colleagues, like Bernhard is now part of the helper organizer team. We had other people joining us. And so we extended like that group of growing members and founding members of our user group in Austria. And now it's the organizers thing, so the official role of a user group leader, which sounds better than it is because it's work. You have to be aware it's work, yeah? It's fun, I like it, but it's work. It's really hard to find those speakers. Well, in the last 2 years, it was like people from around the world could present at our user group in Vienna virtually, no problem. But before it was like you have to organize those speakers, you have to organize the venue, you have to send those invites and so on. So it's like, it's work, but it's fun. And as I said, I'm part of the advisory board. And if we can do anything for you as a user group leader, who of you is a user group leader? 1, 2, 3. Yeah. So there's something for you, Steph. So we've got that thing called Azure Data Community, and there is something in there. We are there to support those local communities. We are there to provide you some sort of technical infrastructure. If you register, if you get part of that environment, you get Microsoft 365 E5 licenses, including Teams, including SharePoint, including PowerPoint, everything you need. I think 5 licenses per user group are included. And there's a Teams chat and many different teams that are there for sharing ideas and so on and so forth. So that is one part you get for free. It's just you have to register your user group. And you get the license fee for Meetup Pro paid by Microsoft. And that is one of those requirements as of today. Your group needs to use Meetup, but that will change. So if you are a Microsoft Data Community group and you don't use Meetup, you can apply for a membership of that network, and you get those E5 licenses. Within that network, there's a huge and long list of all those events that happen. User group meetings, events, conferences that are planned, and so on. So there's one spot where you find all the next maybe interesting topics for you, all those next events. We are trying to collect that information. That one is like collected from the meetup. information, but there is also a page for all those events that are planned, like the SQL bits, like the next data weekender, and so on. So everything is or should be there. And now it's work for you. If you're planning a conference, you have to give us the details of that conference. That's the only thing you need to do, and then it's listed on the web page for a club that contains like almost 80,000 members. Sounds like a good audience for the next event. And there's one thing that is not only important for a data community, it's like in every community, the code of conduct, which is really, really important, and in short, be friendly to each other. It really helps, yeah? And sometimes, especially when you are an organizer of an event and people are asking you thousands of questions and maybe some interesting questions, it's not that easy to stay friendly, but be friendly to each other. That's the thing we want you to have in order to get a better community. As I said, I'm part of the advisory board. If you have any feedback, if you have any input, if you have a wish, maybe we can give you back as a result. Those are the two URLs. The first one is that kind of a community site. So it's all those 140 groups around the world. The second one leads you to a Microsoft Forms. You can put in your questions, your input, and we, all the members of the advisory board, we get that information as email. And we, if it's a longer answer, we have to publish something maybe on the tech community blog. Otherwise, we will share the idea to yourself and the social media and the internet. And with that, well, it's the black slide at the end. That was 17 minutes, almost 17 minutes, a journey through my data community life, how it really, really changed my life. And I hope that there have been some ideas for you, maybe that I can make place for one of you at one of the next conferences, that I'm maybe attending a conference, a user group meeting organized by one of you. And with that, I'm really, really open to your questions and comments. Are there any? Yeah. Yeah.
I'm the organizer of Power BI Romania group. I started only last year, and it was only in virtual until now. And we are using Meetup, of course. I know there were some changes, and we are, with our user group, part of the official community. But is it any official strategy from Microsoft to move us from Meetup to the official community?
Yeah.
Because for now, there are limited options on the community, teams and everything.
Yeah.
Is it anything planned? Because I would like to get all of our users on the official communities.
The question and the comment is, you are Power BI group, right? We are for Azure Data Community. There is an initiative, right, similar to the Azure Data Community Board for the Power BI stuff. I'm not that deep into that field, so the thing was like, there's the Power BI community site, which is there, yeah. Meetup is there. I think there are plans that the Power BI groups will have some sort of similar experience like we are providing for the data community. It's, as far as I know, there is no plan to merge those two. It's like a funding thing. So there are different product groups involved. But if you send me an email, ping me on Twitter, I can get some more information about that, if there are some plans. Yeah? Any other comments? If not, I would really recommend to have a look at that thing called data community. It can really change your life. Enjoy the rest of the conference. Thank you for being here, and see you somewhere. Thank you.